Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Elliot Grigg. This is the final prediction video for the fight taking place on Channel 5 this week, this Friday night. Josh Kelly against Flavius B. Wasserman are back in town, back in Newcastle. Elliot, good to be joined by you as always. Appreciate your time. Interesting one with Josh Kelly because he had that fight. He was supposed to fight Liam Smith last year, ends up fighting Ishmael Davis, a fight that was kind of maybe more difficult than it was supposed to be. And then here we are, kind of quite a few months later. Don't know where he's been the last few months, but against Flavius being a fight he is expected to win. As always, final predictions. I'll hand things over to you now. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first off, when you said, Josh Kelly versus Flavius B, I thought it was on a Misfits card. You were telling me this is an actual kind of legit fight. So I'm going to, I think, look, I looked at Flavius, hashtag B, and I looked at his thing. And you look at like some of the names on there. I mean, Darley's Perez is on there, but he retired, obviously, doing that fight as well. So, I mean, you look at that, that's an old, obviously, Darley's Perez as well. The guy's obviously known from fighting Qualler. But I mean, other than that, there's not a lot on there. There's not a lot of power on there either. 12 stoppages and 24 wins against not a lot of opposition, which I think is suited perfectly to Josh Kelly. To be perfectly honest with you, Josh Kelly doesn't like power, doesn't like getting hit, likes to sort of, drop his hands and shimmy around against people that aren't very dangerous. So I think in many ways this is a perfect this is one off the conveyor belt for Josh Kelly. So I'm going to go. But again, I don't think Josh Kelly, as has been widely shared on this channel, I don't really rate Josh Kelly that highly either. Again, 8 KOs in 16 fights. I see this unfortunately going the distance. So for those tuning in on Channel 5, make sure you've got the tea ready and some snacks and be ready to go the full rounds on this one. But I don't think go the distance, but I think it's going to be Kelly, unanimous decision. To be honest with you, like points, Josh Kelly, comfortable points, Josh Kelly, and then some talk probably after the fight about fighters we'll never see Josh Kelly fight ever in the super lightweight division. And then we'll roll on maybe another sort of 3 or 4 months and we'll fight someone else that we've never heard of from an Eastern Bloc country who's also got, 2 stoppages and 30 victories. And we'll just keep going round and round and round until he retires.
Yeah, until both of us retire from doing this as well, maybe. But it's yeah, like part of me thinks you're being a bit doom and gloom, but part of me does have to agree with you. This is a bit of a frustrating fight for Josh Kelly, in my opinion, because it doesn't really mean anything. There's no kind of jeopardy there. It's not worth tuning in for on a Friday night. I'm not convinced. And I just think we had that. I thought it was a really good win against Troy Williamson a couple of years ago. His response to that was not his response, but the response to that was kind of fighting fighters below the level of Troy Williamson, in my opinion. What happened with Liam Smith and Ishmael Davis wasn't his fault, but fought Ishmael Davis on short notice, won that fight. That was in September, and here we are in June, and now he's fighting someone below a level of Ishmael Davis. So I think he's had a frustrating career to look at in my opinion. I'll join you with a Josh Kelly win, Elliot. But I'll go for a stoppage. The one loss on B's record is a stoppage loss, so I think Josh Kelly will do that, and I'll go for the middle rounds. I think one thing to touch on B is in the last couple of years he's had 2 split decision wins, but both those wins have been against fighters who are levels below Josh Kelly. Is the way I'm going to put it. He's had two very close wins against those guys in Romania as well. It's his home country. Going to move on from the fight because it's not the most appetizing, and I know you're not going to be tuning in, so we'll move on. Where do you see Josh Kelly's career going, Elliot, though? This is a serious question. Like, where do you see it happening? He's 31 now. He's been pro for a while now. He's just got the one loss on his record against David Avanesian. But yeah, pro for 8 years now. What do you see happening in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head really there when you talk about Troy Williamson. I think from that point onwards, people were hoping for a springboard in this
Mm.
super welterweight division and to at least kind of compete at like the sort of upper end of it, the world level end of it, and maybe have a title shot. But I look at the kind of guys that are ranked, the sort of top 10 of that division. And there's not a name in that top 10 that I would back Josh Kelly to actually, to be honest, even compete with. I know it sounds harsh thing to sort of say, but I think, you're looking at the likes of, obviously Crawford won't probably be fighting there for a while, but, also Julian Madrimov, Mercer Talia, Fandora. Boachuk. Obviously, I think Boachuk would do bad things, to Josh Kelly. Tim Zhu obviously is kind of fading, but he's still obviously around the rankings as well. I sort of have him. So I think like so all these sort of names, I just don't see Josh Kelly in there. He's like, what's he, 31, you're saying now off camera, 31 years old now. I just feel like I just feel like we're going to be in this holding pen. I really do. I feel like we're in this kind of holding pen where he's going to maybe look good here, but you can't put him in with a banger really. And do you just cash out and go, I'll throw him in with someone like ranked above him, have him see him stopped essentially, and go from there and kind of end it, or do you go? Is there a sort of British fight, British sort of level around, or not British level, but kind of British interest fight that we can maybe have? Obviously, we saw what happened with sort of the Liam Smith fight and all that sort of thing. But could one of those sort of like British names just come out from a division, come up a division, come down a division, fight Josh Kelly? I'm not even sure. Thing is, the money at one point was there for like a Josh Kelly fight. When he was like promoted on Matchroom, whatever, you thought actually he was like a rising star, and you're thinking, right, this is a sort of money fight, like sort of equivalent of a Cordina maybe. Now you're fighting on Channel 5. Who wants to sort of be involved with it? It's like a really hard promotional sort of question, and also a really tough kind of matchmaking question. So I think they'll be sort of looking to keep him kind of holding for a bit. I mean, maybe for another year, and then maybe can get like a fight, a kind of well-known name in Britain, a sort of gatekeeper fight. But I don't think there's any interest in Josh Kelly fighting the top 5, 6 in that division and fighting for a world title, because it would be one way, and it'd be kind of quite depressing viewing, I think, personally.
Yeah, no, I have to. I do have to agree with you, and I do think that Josh Kelly is talented, and he should have been in more bigger fights by this stage. I just can't help but think that Josh Kelly is 31 now, and I just think for a lot of boxers, 31, you're in and around your peak there. So the next 12 months of his career are an important 12 months in terms of what he kind of his kind of legacy in the sport, the amount of money he's going to make. So this is a bit of a just a bit of a puzzling fight, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how he looks. Final thing from me, Elliot. Conor Benn and Josh Kelly were kind of linked for a long time, like a few years ago. Um, Conor Benn, as things stand, I think is most likely to rematch Chris Eubank Jr. at the end of September this year. Um, if I was kind of a member of Josh Kelly's team, you maybe want to kind of hang around until September and see what happens. And if Conor Benn loses again, you kind of want to throw your name into that, because Conor Benn's still going to be a big name, and that's the opportunity for Josh Kelly to kind of to have a big fight as well. Well, what weight that would be, we don't know. It could be 2 or 3 different weights, but it's got to be. I would like to think it's a possibility. And if I'm Josh Kelly, I'm kind of screaming out for that fight. And Conor Benn might see that fight as kind of like a step down, an opportunity to kind of get a win under his belt as well. What would your thoughts on what would be like kind of like an early prediction if we're here and that fight is happening early 2026, maybe at the O2, somewhere like that? Who would your pick be in that fight?
When you first asked me, like, guiding, warming up to ask me this question, I was thinking sort of Conor Benn was screaming, like Conor Benn victory was screaming to me, and to be honest, it still is. But I think the Conor Benn sort of post enforced break is a different kind of fighter to the Conor Benn that we saw before that as well. I think so. I was talking about Josh Kelly not necessarily wanting to fight a puncher, and in a weird way, like since Conor Benn's had his break, he hasn't been a puncher. So to a degree, I feel like it's actually not as sort of one-sided as initially it may seem. And I think a lot of people probably sit there and go, actually, Josh Kelly might have a chance on points against Conor Benn. I don't think he can stop him, frankly. But I still think, whilst it would be a step down from Eubank, it would be a good fight for both men, I think. It'd almost be kind of the best fight, the best money fight I think Josh Kelly can hope for. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I still would back Conor Benn to win, frankly. I'll probably back Conor Benn on points, to be honest. I think obviously there's so much money behind Conor Benn as well. If it's a close decision, I'm still going to go Conor Benn points. But I think it'd be a good fight for both men. It'd be a good win for Conor Benn as well. You look at Conor Benn's record, there's not a lot on there which is you can look at, kind of through a kind of lens of kind of also, through a kind of lens of kind of credibility. Obviously, some of those questions, some of those wins on there are quite suspicious. So I feel like it'd be arguably the best win on his record since he's come back as well, obviously. So for me, I think it'd be a good fight for both men. I would take it if I was both of them. I'd back Conor Benn to win on points.
Fantastic. All right. We'll leave it there. So, see, Josh Kelly has to get past Flavius B first before he can start talking about a Conor Benn fight, and we will see if he can do that this Friday night. Elliot, thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you very much. And as always, guys, thank you very much for joining us.